And our moderator for this session will be Professor R.K. Panda, sir, Director, Center for Climate Smart Agriculture, SWA.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, this is a critical session and very important session. We have a very strong panelists. I am privileged and humbled to coordinate this as the moderator. So let me tell you how to go about it. In the morning, you heard 3 or 4 experts from US, and those who were, you know, uh, not there or didn't deliver keynote, so we would give them opportunity first. I will just, tell each speaker, particularly those who are not there in the, forenoon, to speak for 5 minutes. Now, briefly introduce them. Them means that not their designation, what exactly they're into, and in what way they are trying to use or you know are using AI in the domain they are into. Then those who talked in the morning, they will be given 3 minutes, others 5 minutes. Then we will ask maybe one question each to each panelist. Then it is open house. So that's how we will go about it. So with that, I welcome all the panelists to this session and all the audience. Then I'll start with maybe a unique personality, Dr. Sanjay Swain. He is, he is a product of OUT, College of Agricultural Engineering. Then he did masters in aquacultural engineering from IIT Kharagpur. Then he went into IFS. So, he got several national awards and things. I don't have his profile with me. Then, recently, maybe a couple of days back, he got this Bhumi Putra award in his district. So he has been using whatever little I know AI for tracing elephants in the forest. He is the regional chief conservator forest placed now in Angul. I'll request him to speak little bit about what he is doing and how he is using AI in forestry and beyond.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon all the panelists. Very warm good afternoon to all the August gathering present here. As Sabu was just introducing, I am Sanjay Kumar. I am from 2009 batch of the Indian Forest Service, presently working as regional chief conservator of forest at Angul in the state. So, in the today's discussion, I will mostly emphasize on the application of artificial intelligence to tackle with human-elephant conflicts, creating a suitable environment for human-elephant coexistence. just a brief introduction about the human-elephant conflict. The state of Odisha, we are housing about 2,200 plus elephants in our forests. And in my circle, that is Ongo circle, it is one of the 8 circles of the state. We are housing about 35% of the total elephant population of the state. And in some of the forest division, that is the forest districts, if you can understand in better words, some forest districts we have more than 350 elephants, and in some cases we have 30-40 elephants. So the human-elephant conflict has become a day-to-day occurrence in the circle. Sometimes the elephants get killed by train hit, sometimes by the poachers or the antisocial elements. And in the present context, due to the activities of the antisocial elements, the poachers and others, now a emerging threat has come in the form of bed bomb. Bed bomb is just an explosive substance that is kept inside some food substance. So when it is generally meant to hunt the wild boar and other herbivores, but the elephants, the subarctic elephant in the age group of 6-7 years like that, they consume that, and in that process they get a severe blast in their mouth cavity, and they get severely injured and ultimately killed. So this is the some of the and also many times my circle on good, that is the railway network is lots of areas are under the rail network. So many trains passes through the circle. Very important train lines like Howrah, Mumbai, some Sambalpur, Bhubaneswar, and other Bhubaneswar, New Delhi. Some important trains pass through that. So sometimes, very frequently, I would say, the trains, the elephants get hit by the trains. So in the train hit, some elephants they lose their life. So in the era of technology, I will say with strong confidence that we in the state of Odisha, particularly the forest department, is very strong as far as the application of artificial intelligence is concerned. So in this process, we have been raising many AI towers. Through the AI towers, we keep a regular look on the movement of the elephants and other. Also, we keep a strong look, eagle look on the movement of the poachers. So, in this process, we have raised many AI towers, about 45 meter in the height, and we are using the thermal infrared cameras. The rotation ability is about 360 degree, and the detection range is about 3 kilometer. So whenever the any elephant comes in that range, definitely it collects the signature that resembles with the signature of the elephant. So definitely one question will come to our mind: why it will not catch the pictures of cows, bullocks, and other lower animals, because the signature of elephant is different from that of the cows, horses, and other animals. So it catches the signature of the elephant, and soon after the AI tower catches the picture. So it is the artificial intelligence tower. So whenever the camera, the integrated camera gets the picture, it analyzes the picture. It analyzes it again and again, and it analyzes whether it is significant to transmit to the control room of the forest department. If it thinks yes, it is a significant picture and it has something to do with the forest department, it applies the machine applies its own intelligence, and with that, with the intelligence, it transmits the signal to the forest control room, and we receive the signal. And as soon as we receive the signal, we immediately alert our staff who are working around the club in the field, and in that process, we become successful to save the life of an animal from the poachers and other antisocial elements. So we in this process we are using electronic eye camera, EI. The EI, through the EI process, we capture the image of the animals, and also in this process also we capture the images of the poachers who are moving very suspiciously inside the forest with their weapons like guns, bows, arrows, and other things. So this is one method through which we are become successful to save the animals. And simultaneously, not only we are saving the life of elephants, simultaneously we are also saving the life and the property of the human being. Because very frequently you must have been getting the information that elephants are entering into the human habitations in many villages, and they are destroying the houses, they are destroying the paddy fields, wheat fields, and other cash crops. This has become a regular occurrence in my state. So we are using the method of early warning system. We are putting the early warning system at a periphery of 1 or 2 kilometers like that in the outskirts of that village, and while putting the early warning system, whenever the big pachyderms like elephant, they cross that line, the people in the village, they get an alarm. They get a good alarm, and when they listen the alarm, the people they become very careful, and they become ready to protect themselves from the elephants. So through this process, we are successful to save the life and property. In this process, I want to say here that we are also saving the huge acres of paddy field before it gets damaged by the elephants. So this not only we are saving the revenue of the government, but also the life of the human being are being saved. Then coming to another process of the trail guard system. Through the trail guard, and it is another method of application of AI. Through the trail guard system, what we are doing, we are putting that camera in a hidden manner, because before the invention of AI, or before the application of AI, whenever we are putting the ordinary cameras in the on the trunks of the trees, the hunters, they were trying to damage the cameras, and also when they were trying to damage, we are also getting the pictures that some antisocial people, they are trying to damage the cameras. But in the trail guard system, it is always kept in a hidden condition, and it takes the picture of the poachers, and after taking the pictures, it uses its own knowledge. That's why it is artificial intelligence. It analyzes the pictures, and if there is sufficient merit in that, then only the trail guard system transmits the pictures to the forest control room through the through the AI towers. And the trail guard system is much more effective as compared to the ordinary process, because in that process the battery backup is much more. It is in the range of around 1 year, and the lifespan of the trail guard camera is much more. We are using passive infrared cameras. The range is also good, and we are tracking each step of the poachers in this process. This has become a very nice invention, and for the forest department, this has a great gift from the era of AI. Then coming to the another application of AI, we are losing so many elephants due to train heat, because we have a good number of elephants. The elephants, they generally move during the night time. They are long ranging animals. Every night they are in the habit of walking around 50-60 kilometers, or sometimes even more than that. So when they move, they walk on the rail tracks. So whenever they walk on the rail tracks, the trains come and trains hit the particles. So in that process, the elephants get killed. So we have installed good number of AI towers, and those AI towers, they receive the pictures of the elephant, and they transmit those through the infrared cameras to our control room, and we have become successful. And if I remember correctly, since last 1 year, I think we have not lost even a single elephant in the state due to training, and this has become a reality only due to the application of AI. Then coming to another successful application of AI, that is the forest fire. Now the forest fire season is going everywhere in the country. So due to the installation of AI towers, those thermal infrared cameras, they give us the presence of forest fire that happens in the deep forest, in a very dense vegetation area, and whenever we get the signal, we alert our staff within no time, and our staff rush to the area to douse the forest fire. So this is another application of AI to save our natural resources. Before the application of AI, every year we lose many natural resources, and thousands of hectares of forest area are badly damaged by forest fire. So coming to, these are some of the applications through AI that we do in the forest. Coming to the agriculture, so we also use some applications of AI in robotics, in precision farming, and others. But what I learned, if we can supply, if we can give sufficient information to the AI, to our robots, to our machine learning system, through the artificial intelligence, if we give sufficient information, then only we will get definite good solution out of that. If we have to access what is the health of the soil, and accordingly what precautions we have to take to get maximum production and productivity out of the soil through the process of AI that has become successful. I understand, I know that the application of AI, we are in the process of learning more and more, but still in the world context, we have lots of miles to go till now. Then coming to the robotics, what I know, the many, taking the example of Japan, the robots perform so many activities that is generally done by the human being in the Indian context. So the AI will definitely a big gift for us as far as the forest resources is concerned, and to save it, and also to increase the production of the agriculture and to boost the economy of the country to a bigger extent. So definitely we have to adapt the AI, and while adopting AI, while following the every step of artificial intelligence, we should not be a slave of AI. We must use the technology, but in that process, our manpower should not be underestimated. And with the better application of AI, with the proper use of manpower, definitely we will prosper, and we will become the developed nation as pronounced by none other than the Honorable Prime Minister of the country. We aim to become a developed nation by 2037. This is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's give you the hand. Then I move on to another, prominent analyst here, Dr. A. Sarangi, Director of Indian Institute of Water Management. Mainly they are mentoring the agricultural water management in major part of the country. So I don't know whether at the moment they are using how much, to what extent they are using. Otherwise, what is the scope of using AI to improve the agricultural water management, of user efficiency, to improve the crop production, productivity per unit amount of water. So, Professor Sarangi.
Thank you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to be here. All the esteemed panelists, most of the experts I know and I have worked, many are mentors here, Professor Ray, Professor Mahanti, Professor Panda, and also I am associated with Dr. Swami, and it is very nice to hear about the work you've done on the college department. So at the outset, what we know that all these things shall be operated by two things. One is a software, another is a hardware. One is tangible, which you can feel, perceive and touch. Other we cannot feel, perceive and touch, but it does a good integration between different hardware. So now coming into the use of AI, I think I remember my days when I visited Texas A&M and in the hydrogen research. There at that time also a lot of work has been started, and that is basically on the beginning stage of the soft computing tools, like using the artificial neural networks and the analysis of remote sensing data, images. So it is nothing new. That is, we have to understand what is inside the data, and we have to also integrate the cognitive response of the human brain, like the neurons and axions, how they work and interact. And that principle we are applying in our other day-to-day activity, in our research activity, may it be agriculture, may it be any application to track the animals and also to track their movement and also to minimize the hazards. So in that case, the AI has already migrated from a low level to a very high level. And what we all know and must be seen that this is being used very extensively in the image pattern recognition, image analysis. We are having many tools available. They can also have the modification of the images hiding the images, put some image, lot of modifications. And like what Dr. Swine told, that if we can capture the image, then in the background we can analyze if it is an elephant or a poison animal or any activity. Then only that can send the signal to the control unit, and the control unit can do that. So it is a combination of a good quality camera we are having, the hardware, and it is being processed by background software technique, and it's giving the information. Now coming to the field of agriculture, yes, there is plethora of development in agriculture. Many of the experts are working on that. So far, my experience goes, I started working around 3 decades before on using this subcomputing tool for estimation of the surface runoff. That means if a drop of water is falling on the ground surface, how that drop of water is being converted to runoff. And then also I use that technique to find out the water budgeting and the storage of that in any harvesting structure or in rivers. So in that case, we are simply using the data. And I wish to mention that anything coming out of human behavior is called data. And without data, all these things AI will be at no stage. And the data should be good quality data. Because if you are installing any equipment, we need to calibrate that properly. And after calibration, we will collect good quality data. And if you are using that good quality data in any architecture, system architecture, generating the trend, that is the randomness, trend, and the periodicity in a time series model. And from the time series model, we are coming to ALN framework or a artificial intelligence framework or some machine learning algorithm or some the languages through which we can recognize the pattern, recognize how they are integrated, then are coming to output. In that case, surface runoff is one. Not only surface runoff, we also predict the sediment yield. If there is some runoff coming from the cascades or what is it, how much sediment that carries, and if that sediment is being deposited in any reservoir or in any water harvesting structure, then how much life of that structure they are reducing, and also what will be the desiccation procedure after what is the frequency of desiccation of that reservoir. So in that case, AI is being used number one for the water hydrology or to know about the hydrologic responses, and also and another important activity what we are doing is to using the long-term data of the climate. Then we are also predicting the actual hour transpiration, or we are also using zero we are estimating, and then we are also predicting for the future. That means we are understanding from a long-term data what is there in the data and how we are estimating using the different procedures like ETC estimation and also the actual hour transpiration estimating, and also we are using that for the future years. Like also the remote sensing images, all the like surface or the air stable algorithm, modified surface energy balance algorithm, and there's some part also being integrated into AI to predict about the actual hour transpiration. Once you know the actual water transpiration, you can do so many things. If you know the crop yield, you can know the water productivity, water footprint. So many things you can get from a single parameter. So AI is one indicator to get one value, but based on that value, we are getting other things. And another important aspect which we are now working and we have done some modules in that is the irrigation scheduling. That means when to irrigate and how much to irrigate. And we are also adding two more questions. What quality of water to irrigate and how to irrigate. So in that case, we are having a huge database of irrigation scheduling for different crops, maybe cereals, pulses, oilseed, vegetables, horticulture crops, and we are synthesizing all the information, and we are coming up with a software so that if the farmer wants to grow tomato, and then it can tell that if you are growing tomato, if you are in these agroecological regions, and if you are having this source of water, and then when to irrigate, that can trigger that the irrigation level, if the soil moisture depletion is between the field capacity and the current melting point, and then it can also tell how much water to irrigate. So that type of information is very much useful for the pan-India perspective. Because in India there are a lot of diversity in the climate, we are having agroclimatic zones, we are having agroecological regions. On that basis, this database will be playing a very vital role in coming up with a holistic AI-based decision support system to tell about when to irrigate, how much to irrigate. And another aspect will be the identification of the small water bodies. Now with IIT Kharagpur, we are having a CRT water program. We are using the Google Earth engine and using AI ML. Like we are going for a modern fusion technique. It is not that we are only using an empirical or a black box model. We are using the empirical model, conceptual model, and a physics-based model or a process model. We call it a model hybridization, and we are using a model fusion technique, using AI on the Google Earth platform, and we are targeting the small water bodies by using this AI and the process model. So that will also assist us to have a comparison with the Watershed Atlas of India and the Water Body Atlas of India maintained by Central Water Commission and Ministry of Jal Shakti Government of India. So this technique is very fast, very repetitive, and so that because it is not on any manual basis or using maths, but it is always there to have the ground truth. Because we are developing some protocol, some technique, we are targeting something, but if you are not validating that, if you are not doing the ground truthing, then we will not be able to ensure that whether that water body exists there or not. And then another challenge is there with us, which we are working to find out how much water is being stored in the water body. So this is three-dimensional aspects. So how we can use AI and using the stereo photogrammetry of the remote sensing images to know the elevation of that, and then we can come up. We know the water body area coverage, and then we know the depth. Now how can we find out during the rainy season or after some rainfall events how much water can be stored in the water body? So this is the level we are going, because I understand that in agriculture there is not much success stories to tell about the application, but still they are at a very initial stage or mid stage, or some products are already being developed. But in also, I remember my days at IRA in Italy, where the plant protection divisions and our the pesticide and herbicide application divisions, they have also done some studies on the variable rate application, area application, where also I could see that Professor Mahanti in Texas at that time were having the irrigation and using the images of that. Then on the Go technology, then we are having on the map on the background. Then we are using geostatistics to obtain spatial variety information, and we know the soil moisture variation on the real time. We are using soil moisture sensor, and then only when we are moving, then we have to know how much water to apply. If the moisture is sufficient, don't apply. But the moisture is deficit, you have to apply. So they are also using AI to tell us whether the moisture is deficit or moisture is sufficient not to apply. So because I have we have in the panelists many experts to speak. There are also I will be happy to have some questions from the young minds, those who are to know. But on my personal experience for last 3 decades working in the field of water management, there are plethora of ideas available, plethora of concepts available. But the thing is that we have to work in a very integrated manner. The computer programmer and AI and the domain knowledge expert, those who are working in this field, they should have a combined or in an integrated approach. Then only we can develop a good product which is used for the stakeholders. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sadali. By the way, one of our esteemed panelists, before I go to the next esteemed panelist, Dr. Fai has an urgent meeting. He kept our request, he came all the way. I'll just ask a quick question to him. Then if there is anything from the audience, then he will leave in 2-3 minutes. So just quick question, you told about the elephant and others. In agriculture, most of the time and most of the places, sometimes in our farm also, this cattle menace, in a way, do you have any low-cost AI or AI system, the camera or whatever, which can, at least in a way, send some signal about the cattle menace so that some control can be. If somebody is away, let's say somebody there, some even watch on what is happening at one point, as a point, cattle menace is there, how to prevent that?
Yes, sir, that's a nice one. Sir, but this can be managed through AI, but I think it will be much more expensive than what we will get. I think in the cost-benefit ratio analysis, this cattle menace can be well managed through the construction of cattle-proof trenches in some sensitive areas, rather than going for AI, because AI towers is much more costly. What I remember, first of all, construction of one AI tower, it is about 70-80 lakhs we have to spend. So this is possible. I know this is possible, but in the process of expenses, I think we can do it manually or through the application of other early warning system. Also, this is less expensive. We can do that.
Thank you. So any quick question, one question we can take, if any question for Dr. Pan. Otherwise, just, let's give a big hand and, thank him for his presence. So I would request the organizers to do the honors. You want to ask?
Thank you very much for your presentation. But I want to know, now the forest fair is one of the very growing issue, and you have shown good observation systems. So whether that observation can be translated to decade the forest fair and give the warning that which sector the forest fire would spread, and so that the appropriate action can be taken. Because we say full of forest area, particularly western region. You have any knowledge about that? So this is a very excellent question. Being a forest officer, I will say, sir, we have become successful to deal with forest fire, particularly in Similpa Tiger Reserve and Symposium Tiger Reserve. Sir, whenever there is any outbreak of a forest fire in any remote area, in any dense forest area, our AI towers through thermal infrared cameras, they detect the fire wherever it may occur. They detect it, and immediately after detecting the occurrence of fire, it transmits to our own control room through the AI towers, and our staff are rushed to the spot. Every day before AI towers, we get the fire alert from Forest Survey of India through Modi satellite. And you all know that in the satellite, it rotates, it moves through by any particular area after a particular interval, maybe after 10 hours or 12 hours or 8 hours or sometimes more than that. So even before getting the alert from the Modi satellite and other satellite, sometimes we also use the figures of the NASA satellite also. Before that, our own staff get the information that fire has occurred at that particular location. But the AI tower, it has helped us a lot, and we have become successful during the last fire season in Similpa. We have got tremendous result, and in Symposium Tiger Reserve also, our fire point was one of the lowest in the state in Symposium and also in Similpa. So AI has become successful, and our department is planning to establish more and more AI towers in other forests as well. It is very, very helpful.
Thank you, sir. Just I was wondering that I want to add, if there will be some wind direction type of sensors will be there, then what Dr. told that where it is spreading that. So beside the fire, if you can have one sensor of the wind direction, then they can get the information that the spread of the fire will be through that direction. If it is possible, yes. Yes.
So let's give a big hand to we'll continue. we have amongst us Professor Yushi Mahanti, a leading expert in the country in climate science and beyond the country also. I would just ask him, mainly the forecast of extreme weather events like high rainfall, thunderstorm, or cyclone is a challenge, and then early warning follows with sufficient lead time, let's say thunderstorm with sufficient lead time. In what way AI can be used to improve the accuracy of forecast and lead time if possible?
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to everyone. Definitely, as you know, weather and climate, and particularly climate extremes, they have a lot of impact on the agriculture. There is ways, even from day-to-day practice to that of the long-range planning. Of course, we started AI long back as an artificial neural network for prediction of the monthly to seasonal forecast, like the S2S forecast system in India. That we started in 2002. US in India, we are predicting seasonal forecast as an integrated value for the whole country and telling that it is how many percentage below or above or not. But after 2002, severe drought, 49% increase of rainfall in monsoon time of July. Then we started a program jointly with IIT and IND, Space Application Center, and some of the agricultural universities to develop the sub-regional level rainfall, which is actually, we have India, we have 35 metric plus sub-regions, and one sub-region, of course, of the ocean region. So what is 35 metric plus sub-regions? We took about 10 global model products, which produce a forecast up to 6 to 8 months in advance, like GLBL, NSEP, ECMWL, and many other places, even UK, Campus, and so on. Then we use those products and train the model to finally develop statistical prediction at metric sub-region level for the country at all 38 metric sub, 35 metric sub-regions. And this is now operational also, and it's used by many agricultural university also, and we also developed a decision support system for risk assessment in agriculture. That involves actually, we started first the rainfall, that is precipitation. Then we have production minimum absolute temperature. So these two factors were used. Then of course we use another thing actually, that is developing the forecast systems for extreme weather events, like tropical cyclones, severe thunderstorms, the question as given by Professor Panda. Yes, we are using that, but now also many companies also started using the long time series of meteorological data, particularly the re-energy data of Iran. Re-energy data, which is developed by ECMWL, that is European Center for Meteorology Forecast, taking the 6 hourly drawn data sets over the whole world. Even they have shown that the prediction of the hurricanes are better predicted of the 3 days compared to that of the conventional dynamical models. But then actually, it is, we call now, physics-based AI systems. Not that it is AI alone, we just taking data and analyzing. The products that is developed from the dynamical models based on the physics, chemistry, biological aspects, like the land use, land cover, and then aerosols, and the dynamical models and physics in them. These models, based on that, we make the analysis. This analysis, the model is trained because as you know, AI is not separate from ML. Unless you have the data, good data, you cannot have a good AI system. So that's why we call it AI ML. The machine learning is build a good set of data sets and minimize the bias in the models. So also, AI now used for the assimilation of the data, because whatever data we need for the numerical model, suppose that is much less. Like India, the whole we have only 45 places for the operations. But you could see the need of 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers or even 5 kilometers. We need enormous thousands of points, few thousands of points. But there we don't have that. So therefore, we also developing the AI systems to assimilate the data, because which provide initial condition for the dynamical models. Then most efficiency of the models are the physics. The most of the physics are the soft skill, some big skill, like a convection or like a turbulence, because the atmospheric starts with the turbulence. We call it turbulence, which I call it is like a smoke of the cigarette. But that scale it starts and it covers the entire globe, which is actually there. So that scales of interaction in the atmosphere is enormous. It's not localized. So how to incorporate this type of different scales in the models in the one big lacuna, and now we are working also to see that what is the products of a physical processes and how it can be further improved by using the system of AI. So that the prediction of a dynamical model with interactive AI can improve the prediction, and it is already started. In India also we have started, and now IMD actually trying to enhance, we call the motion for every individuals, that means weather. So that is again a decision support system linked with the human behavior, the socio-economic aspects, and that is also started using the decision support system using AI based on the economic, social aspects of the individuals, so that the impact-based prediction can be done. So all these things are in pipeline and in progress, and I hope that with the progress in this area can be very useful. Thank you.
Now I would ask Dr. Jude Kovin. He is a groundwater expert, I was told. In groundwater, the challenge is, to exactly understand the extent of aquifers, spatial extent or extent of aquifer, then, mainly the potential of exploration, where to, have the well, how many wells, depending on the potential of the aquifer, how many wells we should have, where to have, what are the best locations to have, siting of the wells, then extent of the aquifer, then, zoning, like uh, zoning the potential, for storage, potential for recharge, potential for pumping. So can you say in what way, what is the latest technology or AI can be used in a way to know these things? Extent of the aquifer, zoning, the zones, potential zones for pumping, recharge, and how much we can explore with the wells.
Well, thank you, Prof. You're completely right. We can't use aquifers sustainably or productively to their best extent unless we understand them. And years ago, I had a mentor who used to say to me, the first job is to understand how does the groundwater exist. And what she meant was, we need to understand all the aspects of the system. Is the groundwater, is the aquifer an intergranular aquifer? The groundwater, in other words, is between the grains of the semi-consolidated sediment. Is it flowing in fractures or cracks or karst fissures in an aquifer? Roughly speaking, what is the recharge? What percent rainfall reaches the water table? What are the things that are controlling the groundwater quality in the aquifer? What is the groundwater quality, the variation of quality across the aquifer? The water table characteristics, in what direction is the groundwater flowing? You all know it flows slowly, but it does flow. And once you understand all of these, you have in your mind a conceptual model of the groundwater system. And then you can begin to understand what impact your abstractions might have on it, and what kinds of yields you might be able to expect. So, you know, I always say that any well or borehole that we drill where we don't collect as much data as possible is a huge missed opportunity. And particularly if a well is drilled and it's dry, the tendency is often to walk away without recording anything. In fact, that data from dry wells is one of the most important data points. So, I mean, to answer your question, Prof, really it's collect as much data as we possibly can, which is often an opportunity that goes alongside other things while we're drilling, while we're pumping, when we're taking a water quality sample, we're looking at the rainfall, and a dozen other things help us to build up a picture of the groundwater system. In other words, how does the groundwater exist? And we iterate slowly and we build that picture up in our heads, and slowly we understand aquifer better and better. These are natural systems, we never understand it perfectly, but we can certainly improve. And you know, a lot of it isn't rocket science, it really isn't. The basics are not rocket science, but it does require us to collect data, to be sensible of how we store the data, how we interpret the data, and be data hungry, be as careful as we can about collecting information at every possible opportunity, because groundwater is invisible, we can't see it, so we need to find other ways, proxy ways of assessing where it is and how it exists. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Now I would ask Dr. Nathmanji, some of the existing physical-based models, how to integrate with the AI model, you know, for decision making, rather than developing new models. Some of the existing models, let's say, increasing the efficiency of the water management, the style master dynamic model for improving the water efficiency. So how to go about it?
Thank you. If I understand the question right, many of these physical models are based on the foundational principle, conservation laws, mass conservation, momentum, continuity. So that is kind of the thing that is missing in the AI side. It's data input, output, black box, without knowing what is going on. So the main idea of this bringing in the physical-based models with AI on the other side, it can complement each other. So in other words, if you have a model and you can conserve the mass, follow the nature, and at the same time that can honor the data that we are observing through other means, then there's a fusion that essentially gives you more efficient information. Just to give you an example, most of the physical processes are complex and data sparse. So people are complaining there's not enough data many times. So one way of using these physical-based models, that you can generate synthetic outputs for various scenarios, and those scenario-based data sets and outputs can train your network models to start with first step first. That means you don't have any output, you don't have any data collected in the field, but you have a physical model, and that model can be run in different scenarios, and that can be used for the network model, intelligence model to train the network, and that can help populate this whole integration of this physics and the data. There are many other ways of doing things. One of the most important things is that we always think about one way of one model, one thing. But most of our natural processes in agricultural setup or in any of those natural environment is multi-physics, multi-scale. So you also need to bring in through this physical process-based model the multi-scale, multi-physics model to honor these processes, the scale, and then utilize them as to train the networks, and that can be helpful to predict the future. So that is kind of the general idea, but if you are very specific agenda to look into something more predictive, there is a new concept called scientific machine learning. So everybody knows, maybe some of our students here, we know that maybe the equation for groundwater flow is Darcy equation, or if you are doing a Navier-Stokes equation for momentum for the turbulent flow or any of those kind of things. But many occasions you don't have enough information to validate those things. So the artificial intelligence can come up with some surrogates. So surrogate model, that means discovering new physics, new chemistry, new biology that can fulfill some of those gaps. In other words, you can have alternative physics, alternative chemistry, alternative biology in these process models. And that is what we are trying to do. That means a lot of times we plug in any data coming from any platform to a particular model that we know of, Newton's law or Darcy's law or something else. Rather than doing that, we are trying to discover new science, new process understanding through these artificial intelligence models. So that way we can grow the physics and chemistry and the processes at the same time growing the artificial intelligence discovery.
Thank you. Let's begin. So, yeah, in the morning, I asked Dr. Akan after she made the presentation, same question I am going to ask our mentor, Dr. Chittaranjan Ray. What I asked is, as she told I am a computer science scientist, I will not be able to answer much. So she dropped those simulation model. Dr. Chittaranjan Ray during his presentation, he made a statement I remember, agriculture is local. That's a universal statement. So that way, this drop through simulation model developed by USDA, they are developed for a specific scenario, for specific conditions. So, for a specific genotype, which is grown there, then the environment, the soil, the soil, land, atmosphere dynamics. So then we use globally, including in our country, we validate, calibrate our situation with our data, experimental data, to find out the genetic coefficient and then validate scientific using. Can we have some answer like these are complicated models, lot of data required? Can we have simplified model using AI so that under data scarcity condition without compromising much accuracy, that can be considered as a local model? Is it possible? Not much work and not much thinking at all.
It's possible, but you have to have something to back up. Without the backup information, then the question will be, is it right or not? So, in data sparse situations, you have to have something what the AI-based model is doing. And as you mentioned already, the GEM factors, the genetics, environment, and the management. So they have to be there. But the growth functions,
what the model is using to propagate or produce the biomass, they have to be correct. So that's what the investment is needed, because why these USDA models took decades to develop one model, then dozens of models you can just write from the equations. Any engineer can write the model and then just think about getting the parameters to fill them in, and then say I'll calibrate and fix it. But then, like Mike Shee is one of the hydrogen models. I recall I had a couple of papers in that topic. There's code at least 60 parameters you have to look into. But then it becomes so difficult that which parameter really having the right impact. So this will become like that. So that in order to avoid those problems, that's where the investment is necessary. Recently, I don't know if you know, the Trump administration wanted to close the Wells facility, which is the place where these guys do the work. It's about I don't know how many years old now. 7,000 acres in the middle of the urban area, expensive price. But in order to replicate that facility, what they are doing the experiment, you take $30 million to build another place. So it is not easy. When you take 15,000 data channels, we call it all information. First, you have to do the experiment in a growth chamber with ideal conditions. Then take two, they call the spar chambers, soil, plant, atmosphere, relationship chambers that sort of to do in a more controlled environment. And then finally you take it to the field in the third stage. And that's what you do at the third stage. If we have the stage 1 and 2 are correct, and the third stage is giving us the right information, then maybe at that point it's possible to get into AI-based models, because then it will be much simpler at that time. It will be only a few parameters, maybe the soil textures or structure or whatever is needed to get your right parameters. Another thing I forgot to mention, that this classing group of models, they are all tied to soil processes. That at least we have to use a 2D finite element, water and chemical transport process coupled to the crop growth. So that is a difficulty, that the water conduction model is running on seconds, but minimum they have to have an hourly time step, and the crop growth has to tie to that. So those are difficulties. But I think our idea is that we cannot run a model like this on a supercomputer and get an answer. It has to be somewhat reasonably number parameters, and we have to make it simple enough so that we can do through some sort of AI mechanism.
So then AI can, in a way, let's say some missing data is there. We don't have detailed characteristics of the soil. So there AI can help us, like to fill up the gap missing data.
Yeah. The older model like Aquacrop doesn't have really that much. It's a pocket model, or even DSAT is same way also. But then what happens is that when you are looking into carbon accumulation into the plant roots or plant shoot, then how we partition the carbon, where it's going to accumulate, and how the roots are growing. The root is like a diffusion process model, but it's going to grow inside the cavities. So it has to, in each of these model domain cell, there is certain amount of volume occupied by the solid space, certain water and the other part is water and air. So the root has to grow accordingly, and then the resistance at the root tip for the water to enter. So there are so many factors. You can simplify, but at the last stage.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's give a big hand to all the panelists. Actually, the audience is tired. In fact, simultaneously, parallelly, the poster session was running. Maybe large number of participants are in poster session, and some of the participants who came, of course, they didn't come from far up place, but still then from Bhubaneswar and elsewhere, they have left. So the audience is thin. So with that, if I would just make the, make it open, the floor open. If from the audience, few questions, we can take 2-3 questions. There should not be silent listener. So if anybody has anything to ask, maybe Dr. Sachin Rautra from the morning he has been sitting quietly. So if you have anything to ask any of the panelists or others who want to ask any question, quick question, one or two, then we'll close this session. No question, anybody have anything? Okay. Yeah. You want to ask something? Yeah.
Sir, our director told that we have estimated some farm costs. So actually, I want to know what is the minimum size of farm pond we could capture by just that method. Because the small size ponds may be difficult to capture. So what was the minimum size of farm pond that we could capture?
You are asking to the
Yes.
I think using that remote sensing image analysis, 10 meter by 10 meter is the minimum size, and smaller that will not able to capture. But still, we are again trying to use the AI to find out 5 meter by 5 meters. So 10 meter by 10 meter size.
I couldn't understand. Let's say to know the required size of farm pond, we have to know the catchment which is contributing to that area. Let's say, will it be for supplemental irrigation on farm pond or what you are saying?
It's a number of farm ponds. Suppose in
Water
Odisha,
bodies,
this
water
much
bodies.
number of farm ponds are there. Or district wise, this much farm. So what is the minimum size of farm pond that could be?
Okay, thank you. So any panelists want to have any observation, comment, or otherwise we'll close.
It's also a difficult question to answer because what size the that is more when you get the land also we can it's more like a design of a reservoir but what is the need of the catchment and how much you need to store you can design any size and you just let pass supplement pass so why you have to hold everything like monkeys for that yeah like I said when you release that water you look at the old soil conservation service or IRCS the UGA when they design a farm pond, you are designing for certain area because you don't want to give up your best land to hold what you have to grow somewhere. So this is basically the bottom line for it. Probably there you put it on. Sometimes you have to have an outlet. Unless the easy net is to know you want to capture a little drop of water from the ground, then it becomes so like a reservoir design problem. That's the problem.
If I'm not wrong, you're asking just I want to instill this one last comment to the audience, maybe to the students, that AI, don't consider AI as a panacea to solve all the problems. It's, because that is where we are just thinking that, and there is a lot of ethical issues, misuse, and also people are using without understanding the system, what the system is trying to do. So it has to be done carefully, it has to be understood fundamentally correctly. Also to supplement it, to understand, as I said, the basic foundational principles of physics, chemistry, biology, or mathematics, and then only we can take the best advantage of AI to supplement it, and then we can really make some decision-making processes that can be utilized for farmers, decision makers, policy makers, anything and everything. But it has to be done carefully, ethically, equitably, and also, at the end of the day, reliably, if not discounting the uncertainty aspect. There will be always uncertainties, but don't take the final goal because if data bound estimates are not considered, a lot of things are missing. I think the best way to see this is as an extra tool
So now it's the time for felicitation. Okay, one more question.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Sridhar of third year, BSc Agriculture. So my question to the panel is, considering the global water crisis, are AI data centers which require high water, are they really feasible? And is the wastewater produced recyclable or feasible?
So for AI centers, data centers, I think number one issue for us is power. Number two is water. Depending on the cooling system we are using. If it is groundwater cooled system, then but of course that's not feasible in developed countries like here. But we use some of the groundwater cooled systems because typically in temperate places the groundwater temperature will be 50-55 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can supplement that cold water in your cooling system to reduce your cooling load. But and also if you are using cooling tower evaporative coolers, then it's there. Like Western states, evaporative coolers are much more efficient than in humid places. But that's also becoming a restriction that what is necessary, only use evaporative coolers. But thermal, the electric need is the biggest challenge. Then it becomes that is it coming from a thermal plant, or a hydro plant, or a nuclear plant? So if it is coming from a thermal power plant, then there is of course another water angle there. So what the cooling water and all that. So this is what the issue is coming that data companies are now trying to move to places where you have cheaper power or utilities that are controlled by the public to keep the prices low. This most recent Trump administration directive is that if the size of the data center is going to exceed certain amount, they will be forced to put their own power plant. They cannot overload the public to build the system, so everybody has to pay for it. So in the water angle, less, but power angle, it's power is again connected to water. So.
Thank you, sir. So my final question would be,
in tropics, evaporation is more. So that's why people use a cooler instead of AC. Truck coolers to cool their house with the low cost. Then you will get air conditioner with the very high cost. Little less. So that's like in Delhi, there is a water coolers, but in Bhubaneswar it costs. Because they are much more. And many of our machines, computers, we use a steering with the water cooling. That process. Instead of putting the air conditioner with the I thought, but now we are thinking, when quantum computing will come, perhaps the machine will be in the ocean.
Those are big things going on. If you look at the cities along the Rhine River in Germany, like Cologne flew down south, some of the downtown areas are cooled by the geothermal cooling, colder temperature. City of Toronto, which is located on the Lake Ontario, the downtown is cooled by the Lake Ontario. So, even if I can give you the example of Hawaii, where I was before. The seawater at 1,000 feet will be very cold. It's about 50-55 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can use that water if you have a stainless steel plumbing system. You can bring that water and cool the buildings, commercial buildings, and put that water back into the ocean. But of course, they need release heat and all that. So that angle is possible also. That we call district cooling those things.
Regarding the energy is concerned, there is already established that solar cooling systems are there. Maybe they are used for cooling vegetables, but they can also go down for the temperature. And the other angle regarding water was the wastewater. So if you look into the grey water that is coming from your kitchens and washrooms, there are some good technologies that are available by which you can make that potable using some filtration and nanofilter techniques and some consortia you can put in an online filtration system that is being tested at many locations, including Australia. And also for the black water is concerned, the membrane reactor technology there is widely popular in Australia and other developed countries. There also you can bring that water just like you are using in washroom, and that water can be used for the AI energy saving and dissipation related issues. So these are the aspects for the water and also for energy. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Another question.
Okay, last question. Okay, please.
So the last question I have to the panelists: how can an agriculture student like myself, having no technical computer science background, operate or give inputs to AI or share my subject domain with AI?
It's a very good question. You are having knowledge, domain expert in agriculture, so you know how to do the agronomy, do the soil science and engineering. But the other side, there is an expert who is good at the AI and ML programming. It is better to have the both in a holistic manner sit together and do the programming. Otherwise, this one aspect. The another aspect is that it is not that difficult now to get trained in data scientist in AI, because you can see many agencies they are also advertising that in 3 months they can make you expert. So maybe you can have a preliminary knowledge of using some Python and other ABL functions are there which you can use, and then you can slowly you can dive deep to that to know more about algorithm. But always the domain knowledge is very important, because you know how to grow a crop, when to give water, when to give fertilizer. So that knowledge will be again embedded in the AI. So the programmer and your knowledge, if they combine together, that will be great success.
Just to add to that, in the recent years in US, we have some AI institutes. And AI institutes are not designed that one person or one discipline can handle it. So by design, they ask people to collaborate across disciplines. So agriculture, water, engineering, computer science, social science, all kind of people come together and brainstorm and then put the context together to grow. So in that process, we are also not only doing research, but also developing new classes and courses that people across disciplines can take. So it will be modular courses. So somebody in agriculture, somebody in hydrology, somebody in engineering can take some modules, also computer science folks, they can also bring in their modules. So that way the cohort of students from different disciplines can gain the same knowledge and complement each other. So that is the new mode of operation, and that is how we train interdisciplinary students, those who can have the domain knowledge and the computer science knowledge of handling these issues. But I just want to advocate one thing for sure. I have been advocating since the IPRA days. I believe strongly that the domain knowledge are very, very important. Don't sacrifice for the glamour of AI. Please do whatever you do the best. Don't try to go around this and that. I mean, other people try to collaborate, try to do those kind of things. And that is one of the things that people always miss out. They always think they can be expert in everything. That is not true. Be expert in something, in fact, not others. That way you will grow better. Otherwise, we always expect that we can do everything. That is not true. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Now it's the time for felicitation. May I request Professor C.R.I. sir to felicitate Dr. U.C. Mohanty sir. Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Binay Mahanti, sir, to felicitate Dr. Arjamatutta Sadan. Thank you, sir. So we had a very fruitful panel discussion. So thanks to all the panelists, our session moderator, reporters, Dr. Prakash Ranjan Behra and Dr. Pragyapati, our colleagues, all the delegates, and the photography and the videography team, our student volunteers who made this session, who made this day a very fruitful, and hope we'll have more fruitful sessions tomorrow. And let's have a big applause for all who had participated here and are present here. And one important announcement for the participants. So those who are going for oral presentation tomorrow, they are to submit the PowerPoint slides, the presentations here in the auditorium tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah. So, yeah, before we conclude, I special thanks to our international key resource persons, because tomorrow they will not be available. They are leaving today. So that way, let's give a big hand. So we are, indebted to them. They came all the way, were there throughout the day from morning till late evening tirelessly, and we extracted maximum value for them. So thank you so much on behalf of the organizing committee, from the university, from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you so much. Others will be available tomorrow also. And Dr. Sadangi will not be available. He is available next door. Our next door. So whenever we call, so in spite of his busy schedule, like today, suddenly their Director General came. So still then he could make it and was here. Thank you. And the organizers. अच्छा पिलाମାନେ ବି volunteer